Hello students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. Today I am going to take a lecture on early warning system and preparedness. This is the last lecture of this course, and in this I am going to discuss about early warning system, types of early warning system, different components associated with it, what are the challenges associated with early warning system, early warning system in case of different disasters separately, and what can be the preparedness measures for this. But first of all, it is very important to explain what is early warning system. An early warning system is a technology and process designed to detect a potential disaster early enough to provide sufficient time to react and mitigate the impact on people and infrastructure. So, it can be defined as an integrated system of hazards, monitoring, forecasting and predicting disaster risk, assessment, communication and preparedness activities. System that process that enables individual, communities, government, business and others to take timely action to reduce disaster risk in advance of hazardous events. The early warning system is an adaptive measure for climate change, using integrated communication system to help communication to prepare for hazardous climate related events such as drought, flood. A successful early warning system saves lives and jobs, land and infrastructure and support long term sustainability. So therefore, the role of early warning system is increasing, because if it is properly communicated well before the coming of any disaster, taking place of any disaster, and if the people of that area are responding, then in the previous lecture you might have discussed this, that then the hazard doesn't take shape of a disaster. So, to prevent a hazard converting into a disaster, role of early warning system is very important. It assists the public officials and administrators in their planning. It saves money. You might have seen in many countries recently, in Bangkok what has happened, in Myanmar, even in India also, because of disasters. It's huge loss not only for infrastructure but for the resident of that area. So, if it is communicated well before the advent of any disaster, that loss, the potential loss, can be saved. With human induced climate change leading to more extreme weather conditions, the need for early warning system is more crucial than ever. Systems that warn people of impending storms, floods, droughts are not a luxury but a cost effective tool that saves life and reduces economic losses and provides a nearly 10-fold rate of investment. So, what I am trying to convince you, that investment made on early warning system is much better than spending on the impact of disasters. And that is why I mentioned that the rate of investment will be 10 times more than compared to what any government will spend after occurrence of any disaster. Now, after discussing the definition of early warning system, let me explain you characteristic of early warning system. The effective early warning system requires a strong technical foundation and good knowledge of the risk, but they must be strongly people centered with clear message. Role of communication is very important in this. Dissemination systems, public awareness and education are critical. In addition, many sectors must be involved. So, role of communication, role of coordination, a clear message is very crucial for a successful early warning systems implementation. Effective early warning system must be embedded in an understandable manner and relevant to the communities which they serve. So there should be people who can communicate in the regional, in the local language also, because these communications start from the offices and it should reach to the grassroots level. And the grassroots level people can be the native of that place. So there must be a coordination among those who are working at central government level, then a state level, and there should be coordination between different divisions, like the concern if flood is taking place in an area, then the water commission division and the agencies which are going to circulate the information about it. That coordination is very much important. So I will try to draw your attention toward this particular image. You can see there are 3 phases of early warning system. The first start from the measurement of a precursor. It forecasts indicators catastrophic event, yes or no. If yes, then yes, it is a warning. Measurement of precursor, if forecast indicator catastrophic event takes place, then warning converts into the onset of anticipated response. What should be the response? That is more important. So what are those agencies? Because I am discussing about the coordination of agency, thus it is very important to discuss that what are the agencies associated with different type of disasters. Let me explain little bit about it. In case of cyclone in India, Indian Meteorological Department, this is the leading agency. In case of tsunami, Indian National Center for Oceanic Information Service. In case of flood, Central Water Commission. In case of earthquake, Indian Meteorological Department is the concerned agency which disseminate information about the probability of any disaster going to occur in that particular region. So early warning system have helped decrease the number of deaths and have reduced losses and damages resulting from hazardous weather, water or climate event. But major gaps still exist. Where do this exist? Especially in the small island developing states like in Andaman and Nicobar or the northeastern region, and least developed states, for example in India, the remote areas of Gujarat or the coastal areas, where, or citing examples of villages of Uttarakhand in Jammu and Kashmir, there people are suffering more, where the communication is unable to reach within time. The United Nations working in diverse partnership, and that's the reason that United Nations has started working with different organizations so that the communication should reach well in advance to the targeted population who are residing at the grassroots level, who are going to be majorly affected by the occurrence of any disaster. The United Nations has introduced several innovations of early warning system initiative in vulnerable area all across the world. As in the beginning of the lecture, I mentioned in the first lecture, I have mentioned that the developing countries are more affected because of disaster. Therefore, nowadays United Nations is making an effort that the developing nations should be capable of implementing early warning system so that it can reduce the losses well in advance. Now, after the discussion, let me explain about the types of early warning system. Early warning system can be categorized into different categories. The first category is the natural disaster warning system. The first one is meteorological threats system that provides warning for tornadoes, heavy rainfall, tsunami and other severe weather events using satellite imageries, weather stations, radar and other meteorological monitoring technology that comes under the natural disaster warning system. Because if any event, if any component, if they are taking, if for example, if the prediction of rainfall is much beyond a level, then certainly there is a probability of flood taking place in that area. In the same way, if there is a prediction that temperature is going to increase for more than required number of days in a particular region, that means that that region is going to be impacted by heat waves. If the temperature is going to be down for more than required number of days, that means that region is going to be affected by cold waves. So what can be the precautionary measures, and how the concerned division, how the concerned department is going to disseminate information, how the concerned department is going to coordinate among the official, among those are who going to implement the EWS in that particular region, and the concerned people, because role of citizen is also very important in response to the administrative bodies which are disseminating the information to them. As I mentioned that there are different types of early warning system. Another one is geological threat, systems that alert population about volcanic eruption, earthquake. These systems use seismograph, GPS or other sensors to monitor each movement and volcanic activity. In the same way, in case of any kind of hydrological threat, the system designed to warn or flood risk from rising river level or dam failure, utilizing water level gauges, flow sensors and meteorological data. You might have witnessed that in few states in India it has happened that because of the failure of a dam, huge amount of water that went into certain habitated area, and that has badly affected that region. So how to combat these? These systems are designed to warn for these probable flood risk or any kind of anthropogenic factor which is going to affect that area. Another one is chemical accidents. Now, what are these chemical accidents? Systems in industrial facilities that detect harmful chemical release, harm that typically involve a sensor network to monitor air quality and hazardous conditions. In this context, I would like to cite example of Delhi. Now, because of the existence of different types of industries in the periphery area of Delhi, the air pollution of Delhi has increased manifold compared to previous years. And this is one of the example of industrial facilities. Another example is nuclear incident. This incident should not take place, but Hiroshima and Nagasaki is also one good example of that. In this system that monitor radiation level and operational parameters within nuclear facilities to detect and respond to anomalies that could lead to accident. So, different type of remote sensing agencies, they take care of such incident which should not take place. Another most important thing is public health warning system. For example, disease outbreak. The system use different type of surveillance data to detect and respond to outbreak of infectious diseases, enabling timely public health interventions. Pandemic alert system, for example, global network like the World Health Organization monitor and provide alert on emerging health threats that could reach pandemic proportions. I always cite example of COVID, how not only at one nation but entire globe coordinated when we suffered from the pandemic. And that's why nowadays the students of geography or of any domain are easily capable of understanding the role of early warning system in combating this. Now, after this, let me explain a little bit about the component of an effective early warning system. There are different components such as detection and monitoring. Continuous monitoring using sensors and other data collecting technology to gather the real-time information about the potential hazards is very important. And here role of remote sensing is also very crucial. Data analysis and forecasting. Once data is collected, once the data is monitored for a regular interval, as I said that when I cite example of flood taking place in any region, flood doesn't take place suddenly. It is like even if drought is taking place in an area. So, what are the two variables which require to be monitored on a regular basis? That is temperature and rainfall. So, the thing is that the data should be collected on a regular interval, and then after that what is more important is the data analysis and forecasting. So, analyzing the collected data to forecast potential impact, using models and other predictive tools to assess when and where the disaster might strike. Once it is analyzed, once it is known that yes, this is the region which is going to be more affected by a concerned disaster, this is a region which is going to be less affected by concerned disaster, what is important? The important is dissemination and communication. So, efficient system to communicate the warning to all stakeholders, including the government, emergency services and the public, that also plays very crucial role. The native of that area, as we know that since ancient time, even those who were residing in the coastal area, through some natural indicators they can predict that yes, flood is going to take place or any kind of cyclone is going to take place in that area. So, the native of that place also play a crucial role in dissemination of the information. This may involve multiple channels like SMS, radio, TV, internet based communication to ensure the broad coverage, so that each and everyone who is residing in that area should know that the disaster is going to take place within this time period. Now, at the end, response capability, as I am emphasizing a lot upon response of the citizens, the preparedness and emergency response plan that are well practiced and can be activated swiftly once a warning is issued. This includes training for emergency responders and public awareness campaigns. For example, if an area is it is already predicted that the earthquake is going to take place, what are the preparedness measures? Immediately those who are residing in that building or that area, they should be evacuated from that place and they should be shifted to any other place where there are less chances of intensity of that particular disaster. Apart from that, detection and monitoring, apart from response capabilities, these all will determine that yes, how they can reduce the expected disaster impact. But apart from all these things, there are different challenges associated with early warning system. What are the challenges? Despite the urgent need, only half of the countries worldwide report having adequate multi-hazard and early warning system. And even fewer have regulatory framework that connect early warning system to emergency and response plans. And the big gaps is still existing in the global observing system required to generate forecast. Accuracy and timeliness, that plays a crucial role. Early warning system is nowadays, till now it is considered as 48 hours before the dissemination takes place. But now even there is lot of effort that the time period should also expand little more, so that people can prepare themselves more well advanced because of the occurrence of any disaster. For example, balancing the need for timely warning with the risk of false alarms can lead to a different type of scenario among the population. Reach and accessibility, ensuring that warning reaches all segments of the population, including vulnerable groups like the elderly people, disabled people or those in a remote areas, is very important. Integration and coordination between different agencies and sectors to ensure a unified and effective response is also very important. Apart from that, climate, weather and water related extremes have led to 15 times more deadly hazards for not only people who are residing in our country, but if we analyze countries like Africa, South Asia, South and Central America and the small island states, these countries are suffering a lot compared to developed nations. Vulnerable, least developed countries that have not contributed significantly to the climate risk or to the climate crisis are bearing the brunt. Over the last 50 years, nearly 70% of all deaths from climate related disasters have occurred in the 46 poorest countries. And that is why role of artificial intelligence is increasing. leveraging new technologies such as AI and machine learning for better prediction and for analysis, for using advanced communication tool to disseminate warning more effectively should be prioritized in this regard. So, early warning system for all is a groundbreaking initiative to ensure that everyone on earth is protected from any kind of hazardous weather, water or climate events through life-saving early warning system by the end of 2027. As a part of the United Nations Secretary General's acceleration agenda, the early warning system for all initiative is a key contribution to delivering climate justice to those at the front line of the climate crisis. It aligns with the priorities of the Paris Agreement and support key provisions of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, particularly Target G on the availability and accessibility of multi-hazard early warning system. It also contributes to delivering the target of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development on poverty, hunger, health, water, clean energy, climate action and sustainable city. When I mentioned United Nations Secretary General, I should also explain a little bit about the 4 pillars which is designed by different international agencies. The first one is led by UNDRR, that is known as Disaster Risk Knowledge and Management. This ensuring that all countries have access to reliable, understandable and relevant risk information, science and expertise. The another one is Detective Observation, Monitoring, Analysis and Forecasting, which is led by World WMO. In this ensurement of all countries have robust forecast and monitoring system, both software and hardware infrastructures, and enabling policies to support optimization and sustainability of hazard monitoring and early warning system that is playing a crucial role. The third one is warning dissemination and communication. This is led by ITU. Using a people-centric approach to ensure that early warning systems are effectively and timely disseminated to reach everyone, especially those most risk, that is more important. And the last pillar is preparedness and response capabilities. This is led by IFRC, ensuring local government communities and individual at risk know and means to take preemptive early actions to prepare for the response to income disaster upon receiving warnings. So, these were the different efforts done by United Nations in case of early warning systems. And as in the beginning I said that I will explain a little bit about different disasters. I will just cite few examples of different disasters and how the preparedness takes place. For example, in case of earthquake early warning system use earthquake science and the technology of monitoring system to alert devices and people when shaking wave generated by an earthquake are expected to arrive on that particular location. For this purpose, United States of America in California, they have developed a machine that is called as the Shake Alert, which gives the exact time of arrival of shaking of the station. In the same way, in case of flood, a typical flood warning system include a number of items including automated sensors which are placed in or beside river and reservoir where that water level is increasing throughout a designated area. So, data is then collected and sent immediately to a base station or personal computer, and in this way appropriate forecasts are sent to authorities or communities of those potentially affected by developing flood as soon as possible. Sometimes flood also takes place due to melting of ice. The community-based flood early warning system is very important in this. The role of community-based flood early warning system is taking place a lot these days. It is used in like for example, I will cite example from India in Hindu Kush Himalaya region, which is one of the most dynamic and complex mountain system in the world. This is very fragile in nature and very sensitive to the different type of climate change that is taking place. So, because of such, lakes are inherently unstable and subject to catastrophic flood surges. They are potential source of danger to people and property in that valley below down. What is the solution? The wireless system manages flood or flash flood risk by providing early warning system to downstream communities and enhances cooperation between upstream and downstream communities in sharing the information. This is very important because whenever the disaster takes place, for example, I am citing example of flood. So, what happens that those who are residing in the upstream area, they are saved, or but those who are residing in the downstream area, they are the most affected. So, that is why the wireless system that manages floods, that should reach to both the communities residing in the downstream area, and those who are residing in the downstream area, they immediately come to the upstream area, or vice versa, whatever is, wherever is the intensity of that particular disaster is taking place. And for that, even transmitter receivers, these are used as a solution for the early warning system. So, these were different example of early warning system. As we all know that whether it is India or Nepal, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Mauritius, they have developed early warning system to reduce the loss of life and property due to extreme weather events. In India, efforts are part of the early warning system for all. This initiative is announced by the United Nations in 2022, and you can visit the site of United Nations. You can find different videos, very good YouTube videos, in which you can find about this particular initiative of United Nations. So, in nutshell, I would like to say that early warning system are a fundamental component of a modern disaster risk management strategies, reflecting and understanding that preparedness and prevention are more cost effective than disaster response and recovery. Thank you.